Will it blend? That is the question.
Thanks for that, Spooks. Yep, today we're going back to the classics and covering a relic of the 8-bit Nintendo era, R.O.B. Just remember that if you have any questions about the competitive jargon I use, go ahead and watch my Smash terminology video and it will probably be explained. Okay, this character is a bit on the complicated side, so let's waste no more time and get right into it. R.O.B, or the Robotic Operating Buddy, was released in 1985 as a peripheral for the Famicom at first, but is more well known for being a sort of marketing gimmick to convince retailers reeling from the video game crash a few years ago to stock the NES in America. The idea was to package R.O.B in with the NES and market it as a toy, since in the retailers' minds, games bad, toys good. Nintendo didn't really plan on supporting R.O.B after that point, and only 2 games were ever compatible with it. But even when the NES had run its course, R.O.B continued to cameo in various games throughout the years, finally getting his big break in Smash Bros. Brawl, playing a big part in the story, and being a Smash staple ever since. As a fighter, R.O.B's attributes are actually quite balanced and well-rounded. Appropriate for a big piece of metal, it's quite heavy, being right around the middle of heavyweight tied with Snake. Don't get me wrong, you aren't K-Rool heavy or anything, and your big size is always going to get you into trouble when it comes to landing, being combo food, or getting back to stage, but you should live longer than average, especially with R.O.B's resistance to being gimped. You'd think his size and weight would make R.O.B slow, but on the contrary, pretty much all of R.O.B's movement stats are either right around the middle of the pack, or even slightly better. He can still get rushed down and smothered by some of the really quick characters, but he is more than quick enough himself to get the job done most of the time. So, a solid showing so far, but let's see what kind of power R.O.B is packing under the hood with his ground moves. Looking at R.O.B's jab, things may not seem that crazy at first. Yeah, it's frame 3, which is right where jabs start becoming considered fast, but it does kinda meh damage and doesn't kill. But don't let that first impression fool you. After the 3.1 patch, R.O.B's jab got fixed to make it connect more consistently. This has had the side effect of making the tip of jab 1 suck the opponent in. This can lead to grab confirms at higher percent, but the stronger and flashier way to use this is what's called the robble wobble. By repeatedly hitting down tilt and bringing the opponent back with jab 1, you can essentially get a lock going for enormous damage while the enemy sits there in horror. It isn't an infinite, as down tilt eventually sends too far, but it's a hilariously effective way to build up damage from such a simple and quick move. It makes you wish that F-tilt had the same utility. Don't get me wrong, it isn't bad or anything, it's quick enough and does okay damage, but it just doesn't really do anything special. You can angle it, which means you can use it to cover the 45 degree, which R.O.B has trouble with, combo it off of up throw, and use it to kill at really high percents, but there are almost always better moves to use, so let's move on to those. Like down tilt, which is one of R.O.B's best moves and probably the best down tilt in the game, don't at me. This move is stupid fast, coming out in 3 frames and having basically no lag. As such, you can use it for shield pressure or just whamming on the other player incessantly until they fall over. If the enemy does tumble on the ground, feel free to use down tilt to get a lock on them and follow up with a side B or a smash attack. You can even use down tilt to combo into moves like dash attack, or follow from a string of forward airs to keep the snowball rolling. This move is almost never a bad idea to throw out. Up tilt isn't quite as crazy, but serves its purpose. That purpose is one of 2 things. Number 1, pressure opponents who are on platforms above you. And number 2, combo into up air. The hitbox is a bit challenged, so I wouldn't use it raw to scoop up opponents. Chances are they'll get hit with the first hit only and fall out. Though you can use this to frame trap if they get panicky with the air dodge button. I recommend confirming it out of neutral air or a throw first, or it might let you down. The quick and punchy moves keep coming with R.O.B's dash attack, a fast little treat of a burst option that really helps boost R.O.B's middling mobility. Aside from the normal gap coverage that dash attacks usually bring, this move is also quite the combo tool. You can use it to start combos into a few forward airs or a gyro toss if you use it to pick it up, or you can use it to end combos from down tilt or jab. Throughout this video, we will see how R.O.B's game plan revolves around stringing these small hits together and building momentum to rack up the damage one after the other. And dash attack helps keep the train rolling despite not being terribly powerful in itself. But if it's power that you want, you'll need to take a look at F-Smash. This potent laser blast covers a huge area, getting weaker the further away it hits. The strongest and closest hitbox does 15% base damage and kills well before 100%, the earliest of R.O.B's smash attacks. Its range and the ability to be angled make it a great tool for ledge coverage, and can even combo from a neutral air at low percents if you want. It isn't terribly fast or safe though, so make sure you get the read or confirm it out of a jab lock or other similar sort of setup. Slightly less powerful, but overall more useful, is up smash. The best part of this move isn't the decent damage or huge anti-air range of the second hit. It's actually the very quick and very large first hit that scoops them up into it. This makes up smash a frame 10 out of shield option, quick enough to punish most of the more haphazard options, and makes it great for scooping the enemy out of the down throw berry. There are several ways to combo into this attack, which we will cover a little later, but with its huge range and decent kill power, if you want to take a stock with R.O.B before 130%, this is probably the most consistent way to go about it. Down smash, on the other hand, doesn't quite live up to the height of its other smash attack brothers. Yeah, it's frame 7, which is really quite fast for a smash attack, but it just doesn't hit hard enough. Even if you hit all the hits with all the sweet spots, you're only going to do 12% base. That's tilt damage. But, despite the weird gaps between the hits, the move is active for a while and covers a decent range, which makes it good for covering rolls and ledge options. It also sends at a good angle for gimping, and the quick speed means it's pretty nice out of a down throw near ledge. So it isn't the worst attack in the world, but it is pretty underwhelming. Speaking of underwhelming, we have R.O.B's grab. Now, don't get me wrong, the frame data and speed of these grabs are actually pretty damn good for a heavyweight, and as we will see later, R.O.B really wants to be landing grabs a lot. The problem is the terrible range the grabs have make that really difficult. I'm serious, R.O.B might have the worst grab range in the game relative to his size. I'm talking Smash 4 Ganondorf bad here. Luckily, if you somehow manage to literally clip into the opponent and land one, his throws aren't half bad. I suppose we will start with his forward and back throws since they are pretty similar and rather simple. Both of these throws are really quick and do decent damage, but they're not kill throws by any means, and aside from maybe a low percent forward air or a laser chase, they don't bring much in the way of follow-ups either. Really, they are just there to do the standard forward and back throw job of getting your opponent off stage and tacking on a bit of damage. Now down throw, that is a whole different story. While it deals by far the least damage of R.O.B's throws at a paltry 5%, the berry mechanic more than makes up for it. With this, R.O.B can follow up with several moves to get extra damage or more likely, get the kill. If your opponent is mashing hard, go for the up tilt or up air, or just raw up air. If they aren't mashing that hard, scoop them up and spit them out with an up smash. Pretty simple. Don't get too excited though, this throw is no inkling roller and is basically useless until about 70%. The opponent can also mix you up by delaying their mashing or mixing up their air dodges, so against a good player it's not an instant kill. Still, even the worst berries in the game are good, and you'll be using this throw a lot to close off stocks. And finally, the most powerful throw, arguably, R.O.B's up throw, the Tombstone Power Driver. This throw brings a lot of utility and is the biggest contributor to why R.O.B's grab game is so nice. Not only does it do great damage, but at low percents, it's a great combo throw, leading into forward air, up air, or whatever, which helps alleviate down throw's low percent problems. At high percents, it transforms into a pretty good kill throw. It's not Incineroar strong or anything, but with some platform assistance, it can take stocks a little past 150. This makes it a much more consistent option if the other player is giving your down throw follow-up some trouble. But R.O.B in Smash isn't as stiff and motionless as its real-life toy counterpart. No, this robot excels in the air, and we're about to find out why. We're going to start off with the aerial that defines R.O.B, the one you'll be using the most, probably out of all of his attacks, neutral air. This move is just fantastic. It covers a huge, almost 360-degree radius around R.O.B, stays out forever, and is one of the safest aerials on shield in the game at up to -3 frames of advantage. Meaning aside from an ultra-fast out-of-shield option like Game & Watch Up B, you can pretty much land on someone's shield with impunity. It also combos really well at pretty much all percents and do a ton of moves depending on DI and what part of the move you actually hit with. You can get into the really deep stuff on R.O.B Discord, which I will link below, but just a small sample of these include Nair up tilt up air at low percent, Nair to double fair and Nair to side B at mid percent, this can kill by the way, and Nair to up air at higher percents. And that's not even getting into the insane gyro dribbles you can do either. Neutral air being so safe and disjointed also makes it one of R.O.B's few good ways of coming down from a juggle situation, which he finds himself in a lot. There are a few problems though, the first of which is that this move is slow to come out. The enemy knows you are going to land with Nair 8 out of 10 times, and 14 frames is a long time for your opponent to stuff it out with something. Plus, it may cover a huge area, but it doesn't do it all at once, so a good player can find a way through its blind spots. Since R.O.B relies on this move so much to alleviate his disadvantage, if you find yourself against a character that can deal with it effectively, it can really make the matchup hell. Even so, it's probably R.O.B's best normal and will be used frequently because of it. Another great aerial is R.O.B's forward air. Although it's kinda weak overall, the sheer speed and range of this move make it both a great out of shield option as well as a combo option, coming from moves like Nair, up throw, and dash attack, and leading into others like down tilt or even itself. This makes it really important for keeping the aforementioned R.O.B train rolling, and is a great way to swat the other players out of the sky, as well as grab the gyro quickly and safely. It's not the flashiest move for sure, but it's a very important cog in the machine that is R.O.B's playstyle. Moving on to yet another great aerial from R.O.B, we have up air. While not quite as strong as its previous iterations, up air has kill percents in at least the mid 150s, with those reaching scary low values if you hit it at the right height. The multi-hits mean great activity, and that in turn means it's great for catching air dodges, whether they're out of a down throw berry or just in the general advantage. Not only can you combo into this move from up tilt, neutral air, or what have you, but it's actually quite the combo tool itself. If you drag the enemy down with it, you can lead into an up tilt and another up air, or even just a straight up smash attack at higher percents. A versatile move for sure, and fits nicely into R.O.B's kit. Back air kind of stands out amongst the rest of R.O.B's moveset. It isn't a fast, weak combo starter, it's a big, fat, slow kill move, killing way below 100% near the base. It's so strong in fact, that it launches R.O.B away with its sheer firepower. This has a couple cool uses, most notably spacing, recovering, or stalling high up, but it can also help do a sort of weird cross-up, hitting the other player with a late hit. The huge hitbox and activity also make this move great at ledge, which is good because it is slow. Frame 19 is bad by smash attack standards, so unless you set it up or combo into it from an air or something, you'll find it too slow to get a proper punish. Still, one of the strongest back airs in the game if you hit it right. Down air is very similar in fact, acting like a sort of downwards back air. It is just as slow too, but for spiking moves that isn't such a big deal. Instead of launching you sideways, this one stalls your descent. This makes going for the spike part of the move pretty much risk-free and can help you mix up your landing. The hitbox is just as massive too, poking through the stage and even platforms, which makes it really nice for you filthy campers out there. Overall, another great move to round off R.O.B's impressive aerial repertoire. So yeah, pretty impressive so far, not a lot of duds in the bunch. Let's see if R.O.B can keep that momentum up with his special moves. We're going to start off with Gyro because it is the most important and versatile of R.O.B's specials. When you first hit down B, you'll start spinning the gyro up to speed, and it will take about a second and a half to charge fully. The longer you have the charge, the farther it flies and the more damage it does, but also, and more importantly, the longer the gyro will stay spinning on the ground. It's really fast to fire, and while the gyro is spinning, it's a real tricky procedure for your opponent to pick it up. It can also be used to block off a certain section of the stage, or use it as a sort of wall to hit opponents into, bouncing them back at you for some serious confirms. But if your gyro isn't serving its purpose on the ground, it's best to pick it up. This will let you not only throw it quickly in any direction you want, but also Z-drop it, or R-drop it for you Pro Controller fans I guess. The Z-drop gyro dribble nair train is hilarious, and can lead into some crazy 0 to deaths. But you can also get combos off of basically any form of gyro toss. Or better yet, toss it on the ground to keep it spinning at ledge, catching get-up options and bouncing them right into a smash attack or even a down air spike. Throw it up really high and let it stay up there for ages, only for it to drop back down on your opponent when they least expected. Shoot it when you're off stage to clear the ledge off for you to land, throw it down off stage to edge guard. The possibilities are pretty limitless. There are a few chinks in the armor though. For instance, you can only have one gyro out at a time, so if it's already spinning on the ground, up in the air, in someone's hand, or God forbid, inside Isabel's pocket, you won't be able to shoot another one. It also completely disappears when it touches a shield, which could be bad for zoning, but you can immediately shoot another one right after, so it isn't so bad. The most important thing to remember though, is that gyro is an item in the classical sense, so any player can pick it up and use it against you. And this can be really brutal for R.O.B, especially off stage. Counterplay aside, it's one of the best projectiles in the game, and most R.O.B players will want to have a gyro out somewhere at any given time. A worse but still decent projectile is Neutral B, the Robo Beam. This move has two different sized lasers, a fast traveling small one dealing a cute 4.5%, and the slower big beefy boy dealing 15%. It takes 2 seconds to charge up the smaller laser and a bit longer than 14 seconds to charge the fat one, with both of them having this nifty close range burst for some extra damage. Try to spam it too much though and R.O.B will shoot blanks, so let it charge up. There's nothing crazy different or unique about this attack, it's just used to cover the spots Gyro isn't, pop up the opponents from a distance, or try to get some extra damage when you're normally too far away. But it is transcendent, so it will go through all other projectiles on its way, and it also bounces off surfaces, allowing you to cover more area and get some sick trick shots.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh!
This projectile really helps R.O.B establish his zone and keep the other player on their toes even at long range. If you favor a more up-close and personal approach, I bring you the Robo-Rotor, or as some like to call it, the Murder Blender. It's pretty simple. R.O.B spins its arms around, hitting 500 times if you just press B, or 1,000 times if you mash it. It's about as fast to start up as an average smash attack, and since it's active for basically however long you want, it's great at, you guessed it, catching air dodges and covering ledge. That last hit has some serious power behind it too, leading some offstage combos to kill with it even before 70%. It also technically has a reflector at the start of the move, but this is more of a gimmick than a serious anti-zoning tool. I don't recommend using it. Like any other move that has hitboxes on frame 66, it's also super laggy, on shield and whiff. If you're going for this, you better be in a good position and not just throwing it out hoping for the best, or you will get hard punished. Use it as a sort of exclamation point at the end of a combo string or a jab lock. And last but not least, we have the Robo-Burner Up B. This move is your simple fuel-based flight up B. You get 143 frames or almost 2.5 seconds of fuel to burn before you run out, and you can't recharge until you hit the ground again, where it will take 5.5 seconds to return to full. You can tap B quickly to sort of flutter to either conserve fuel while rising or hover in place a bit, which is good for mixing up recovery timing. Which you will need to do because while you can jump or attack out of this move, it has no hitbox on its own, and thus is very vulnerable to any player willing to go out and touch you. You will need to keep them honest with things like up air through the stage while recovering low, bair and dare stalls when recovering high, and maybe a few projectiles shot their way to make sure they're occupied. If you run out of fuel, you can still press up B after a jump to give you a little bit more boost, but R.O.B's recovery, while good in terms of distance covered, is probably one of his biggest weaknesses. Don't be afraid to use this move offensively though. It may not have a hit on its own, but you can use it to chase characters way up high for an up air kill, or get some extra speed with the burner boost. A burner boost is executed by quickly pressing dash, jump, and up B all within a few frames of each other, and this will give your up B full airspeed, which is useful for chasing off stage and closing a gap through the air faster. It's quite difficult to pull off though, so practice up. As long as you do your best to be unpredictable, R.O.B's up B should allow you to live a long time. And with all of his moves covered, and no final smashes don't count, it's time to give our robotic buddy a verdict. As always, we start our grading with speed, and R.O.B scores a respectable 3 out of 5 there. All its movement stats are either right in the middle or slightly above that, and the generally quick frame data of its attacks combined with dash attack as a burst option means R.O.B is fast enough to get the job done. Power is also getting a 3 out of 5. I say this because even though R.O.B's individual damage output and raw kill power is pretty mediocre, the strings and setups it can do really help make up for it. If you don't get those setups though, taking a stock can be a real fishing trip. Defense is getting a 3 out of 5 as well. It's hard for a relatively fast heavyweight zoner with decent recovery to score low here, but the limited out of shield options, huge hurtbox, and poor disadvantage hurt R.O.B's chances of a higher grade. And finally, versatility is getting a 4 out of 5. R.O.B actually has tools to deal with a lot of different matchups. And to truly give R.O.B hell, you have to A. Deal with neutral air easily, B. Have the offstage presence to bully him constantly until he runs out of fuel, C. Be fast enough or have counterplay to overcome his zoning options, and D. Be able to turn him into combo food once you get in. There are plenty of characters who have 1 or 2 of those traits, and they can give R.O.B trouble, but very few have all of them, meaning R.O.B doesn't have too many terrible matchups. He doesn't really invalidate half the cast or anything, but a dedicated enough player can really go far solo maining R.O.B, with maybe a pocket character for 1 or 2 matchups. Overall, R.O.B is a strange case. In a game full of glass cannons, powerhouse super heavies, and traditional walling zoners, here we have a decently quick, heavyweight zoner with an emphasis on fun combo strings and setups. He really was a blast to play, and I'm sure most R.O.B mains will tell you the same. If you haven't yet, give R.O.B a try. You might like him. Thanks again for watching, guys. Rob seriously surprised me with how fun he was. If you like this video, share it around to spread the word. Support us in between videos on Patreon if you really like us. You know the drill. If you want to vote for the next character to be covered, just check out the nominees in the pinned comment below. It really helps me gauge interest. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time.